The playoff race in the Western Conference this year is absolutely insane. It seems like one week you'll see a team at the bottom of the NHL, people talking about them winning the draft lottery, all that type of stuff, and then suddenly they will string a couple of wins together, and next thing you know, we're talking about this team being a couple points out of the playoffs. So I wanted to talk about the Chicago Blackhawks, a franchise that has dominated the NHL over the past decade. They've won cups. They had the big two stars in Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews, but last year it finally looked like this is a team that is going to regress, and the year before that as well, and really be in that rebuilding stage that every team does go through eventually. Obviously, a franchise can't be great forever, but this year the Chicago Blackhawks find themselves still in the playoff hunt nearing the trade deadline. It's really going to be interesting to see what happens with them, because their owner and GM actually did come out and say that they want to see the team make a push for the playoffs, and with the season that Patrick Kane is having, he definitely could be a favorite for the Hart Trophy and definitely win it if they do make it into the postseason. Taking a look at the Western Conference wildcard standings currently, in that first wildcard spot we have the Minnesota Wild with 59 points, 55 games played. St. Louis, 53 games played, 57 points. And then you have Vancouver also tied with St. Louis, but have played 3 more games. And then you go down 7th, we see the Chicago Blackhawks with 53 points and 55 games played. Now they are 4 points out, and they have played 2 more games than the second place wildcard team. But if they continue to string together wins, they could definitely be a playoff team. And Patrick Kane, you look over there, 54 games played, 32 goals and 47 assists for 79 points. An unreal season from Patrick Kane. Jonathan Toews is really having an amazing year as well. Kind of quietly, not really many people noticing it, but he really has been fantastic with 54 points in 55 games. Alex DeBrincat, 28 goals and 50 points in 55 games. He's been great. And Dylan Strome really has revitalized his career since coming to the Chicago Blackhawks with 33 points in 51 games over the entire season. But just overlooking this, it doesn't really look like Chicago is a playoff team, but they haven't really been consistent throughout the whole season. Like I said, they went on that 5-game losing streak, and now they are currently on a 6-game winning streak, and they play the Detroit Red Wings tomorrow afternoon, which is definitely another winnable game. Detroit is a team that is towards the bottom of the league, and if the Chicago Blackhawks can get this win, keep that momentum going, I definitely think we could see this team make it into the playoffs. And for a lot of people, that is probably something that they do not want to see, just because you kind of grow tired of seeing the same thing over and over again, seeing the same team winning over and over again, and that is basically what we had to do with the Chicago Blackhawks for the past decade. But nonetheless, you can't deny how great some of the players on this team is. Patrick Kane is basically willing this team to win games, and it really is cool to see, because Patrick Kane had a little bit of a down year last season, but he's bounced back in a huge way, and Jonathan Toews is on pace to be around a point per game, which is something he hasn't really done throughout the majority of his career. He's more known as being the leader of the team, being a solid defensive forward, but this year he's putting up great numbers. Like I said, Alex DeBrincat, I think he's one of the most underrated goal scorers in the NHL. He's only young. Dylan Strome has been fantastic for them, and if they can get the consistent goaltending on a regular basis on the second half of the season, if they can even make some moves at the trade deadline, this is definitely a team that could squeak into the playoffs, especially in the Western Conference, where it is basically just wide open from the bottom to the top on who can make it in those final 2 wildcard spots. Now, the last thing I want to touch on in this video about the Chicago Blackhawks is what I think they should do come the trade deadline. Should they be buyers? Should they be sellers? And like I said earlier in the video, their owner has came out and he has said he wants this team to make a push for the playoffs, and they certainly have the talent level, and they are pretty top heavy, which is pretty concerning. And to me, the big question mark remains in goal. Who is going to be the guy who's going to consistently give this team a chance to win on a nightly basis on the second half of the season, where games really matter, and even into the playoffs if they are able to make it? It's been split between 3 guys pretty much the whole season in Cam Ward, Crawford, and Delea. Delea, most recently, 12 games played. He has a record of 6-2-3, which is pretty decent, but Corey Crawford really just has been disappointing this year, in my opinion. Obviously, coming back off that injury and missing that much time, it's going to be very, very difficult to get back into the swing of things, and you can really tell. You see his record of 6-14-2. Cam Ward has been decent this year with a record of 10-8-4, but they just really haven't had that consistent number 1 guy throughout the season that I really do think they will need if they want to get into the playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because I don't think this team team should be a team that come trade deadline wants to sell off some of their young assets and draft picks just to try to get a veteran goaltender or a decent forward to really help them and put them over the edge. I honestly think it would be good to see if they just roll with what they got right now, see if they make it into the playoffs. If they don't, who cares? You didn't really have too much expectations coming into the season anyway. But like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think, especially if you're a Blackhawks fan. Make sure to let me know your opinion down in the comment section below. And with that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content. And I will see you guys all in the next video.